Wuchang Fallen Feathers is one awesome Souls-like. However, there is a ton of things to know, especially if you're a beginner or if you're just getting into the game. So I'm going to go over a ton of different tips with you so you know exactly what to expect on your way through the land of Shu. Now, starting off with our first tip, and maybe one of the most obvious tips on the entire list. However, if you find an enemy that has red eyes, they are going to be much harder to kill and give you more mercury, which is this game's version of runes. This is very similar, if not the same, to Elden Ring and Dark Souls games. Anytime you see the enemy with the red eyes, first and foremost, it definitely is going to hit harder, it's definitely going to be harder, but the risk is definitely worth the reward, as you will be given much more mercury than any normal enemy you can fight within Wuchang. Tip number 2, you're going to want to look up into the trees as well as on fence posts and around cities, because you're going to hear a bird call. Anytime you hear the Arum birds, they will give you an item that's going to increase one of the following stats, either HP, stamina, or damage, for an extended amount of time. These birds are pretty much free stats. They do take absolutely no effort to kill at all. Typically, you need some kind of a ranged attack or a spell. However, sometimes they are close enough to where you can hit them with your melee weapon. But regardless of how you decide to kill them, the Arum Feather is going to be a fantastic item that you definitely are going to want to pick up, and these guys are so easy to kill that you don't want to leave these on the table, as they can help immensely in boss fights. Next up, this tip is for those people that hate cycling through their items via D-pad on controller. In Wuchang Fallen Feathers, they have made it nice and easy for you to either hold Y for your spell selection or hold X for your item selection. If you hold Y, you'll see all the different spells you have. You have right trigger, right bumper, and left trigger. And then for your items, you hold down X and you have the exact same thing. There are 4 item slots, so 4 different buttons to press. So this is very easy to do if you are stuck in a boss fight or in a situation where you need some healing rather quickly and have a different item selected. I personally love the quality of life that this brings to the gameplay, and I've used it quite often. Next up, I want to try to explain one of the main core mechanics of the game. This core mechanic can either make the game incredibly frustrating for you, or it can make you a much better player. You decide how it's going to affect you, but when it comes to Wuchang Fallen Feathers, you are going to experience something called madness. Each time you die in the game, your madness will slowly go up, and once it gets full, you will take much more damage. However, you will do a lot more damage as well, so this is high risk, high reward. There are a few different ways to fill up your madness, which we'll go over in a different video, but you definitely don't want to be dying a lot, as it can make the game a lot harder for you. As I was learning the game and playing through it, this was very frustrating, although I have come to really rely heavily on this mechanic, as there's certain skills and attributes that you can use and equip that are going to give you more perks for having a higher madness level. Now, in this tip, I also want to tell you that there are 2 different ways to dispel your madness if you don't want to take more damage and have the game overall be a little bit harder for you. First, you have to fight a feathered warrior and defeat them. These feathered warriors are going to actually be demon summons that, if you die during madness, they will spawn when you go back to pick up your mercury. You will then have to fight them, not only to get your mercury back, but also to clear your madness. Now, the second way is to pray at a statue of Shu, and these statues can be scattered all over the land. However, once you pray at that statue, the madness will clear and you can go back to playing the game as normal. Now, in your journeys, you're going to be getting things called red feathers. These are going to be attained by killing certain enemies in the game, and they can come from all different types of enemy. It's not just one. However, there are a few that always will drop them. The reason you're going to want to look out for these is because these are needed for upgrading your skill tree for some better abilities. These will allow you to gain mastery over weapon types if you go down the tree far enough for whatever weapon you've chosen, and it makes you do more damage overall, so you definitely want to be looking out for them. Now, something I found very funny and surprised me the first time I saw it within this game are little tiny bamboo shoot guys. Now, I don't know how to explain them any way other than that, and the item that they drop is a literal bamboo shoot, but I would call these some kind of a mix between a Korok from Legend of Zelda and the shiny lizards from Dark Souls. The reason that you want to grab each and every one of these guys that you find is because they are going to drop not only a bamboo shoot, but those bamboo shoots are a special currency for a shop within the game. Now at this point in time, I currently have 8 of these and I've spent 2 or 3 more. With these items, you can buy things from the Panda shop. I'm going to show you exactly where that is in a YouTube short, which I will have linked down in the description below, but this is going to allow you to get not only weapons, but spells and some armor pieces as well that I think you're definitely going to want to check out. Keep in mind though that at the beginning when you first find the shop, you're not going to have access to everything, but as you progress the game, more and more will open up for you at this shop. Now, one thing you're going to realize, especially until you unlock a hub that can get you to different places, runbacks in Wuchang I found were absolutely horrific. Now, we're not talking as bad as Demon Souls, but these shrines are very, very far apart. There are different cut-throughs that you can do after you progress far enough, and they will make the run back shorter, but they still are pretty rough. So something to help you find the next shrine on your list, or the next shrine you need to go to, is on the bottom right hand corner. You're going to see a compass. There, eventually, if you get close enough to a shrine, there's going to appear a red arrow. This is going to represent a shrine you have not captured yet and need to go and rest at. And if you're getting close to a shrine you've already been to, it's going to appear in light brown. This is extra helpful to look at if you've been out in the land of Shu for, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes and haven't found a shrine. Start looking at your compass a little bit more carefully to try to figure out where to go. Now, this next tip is really personal preference. However, I found that as a player and enjoyer of Souls-likes, this one helped me a lot. When you see your skill tree at first, it is going to be very, very huge and overwhelming. So don't make the mistake I did, but instead go to the center of your skill tree and start working your way directly left. This is going to be where the majority of extra mana flasks are, and how much healing your mana flask does, extra stamina, and quality of life attributes. I went about halfway this way before I started putting stats into an actual weapon, and I found that the quality of life it provided as opposed to when I didn't do that was much better. Now, as you progress Wuchang Fallen Feathers, you're going to run into 2 separate merchants. I couldn't figure out for a while why I couldn't find out where to buy boss weapons or boss armor, because yes, you can do that, but the secret is they are located at these 2 separate merchants. As you go through the game, not only will boss items drop from the actual bosses that you can buy, but you'll also find different knickknacks and odds and ends scattered around the lands of Shu that the other merchant will take. This is not only going to expand their inventory whenever you do give them these things, but it will also typically give you much better weapons and armor options than you had before. Now, the land of Shu is a very linear experience. However, there are times when that linear experience gets exploded by some kind of massive city, ruin, or camp. I highly recommend that you get as lost as possible. I did this and I found a lot more pendants, I found weapons, I found more spells, and I allowed myself to just get lost in the game instead of sticking to the normal linear path. There definitely is a way you can go, especially through these huge branched out areas, but I found that as I was playing, I was often met with forks in the road, which left me with the choice of which way to go, so I had to backtrack and keep going to try to figure out where new items and spells were. So earlier on, we mentioned that the merchants accept different items you find throughout the world, and that is true. However, there's also going to be other NPCs that have quest lines that will ask you to either go find items, or you will go find an item for their quest and bring it back to them. Now, in order to figure out who you have business with and where they are, if you open your map, you will see where each NPC that you have met is. This is super helpful, and if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Black Myth Wukong did the exact same thing, so let me know down in the comments if you remember, but this is a solid quality of life attribute, so I definitely wanted to make sure you knew it was here. Now, you're going to find yourself in a few main hubs as you go through the entirety of the game. However, one thing I want to draw your attention to that you may not have known is that there is what's called a donation box within every single major hub. And what's important about this is the box that's going to have items that you have left out in the field saved to it so you can come back and pick up those items. What I mean is if you run past an item that you didn't pick up from an enemy that you killed, not just an item that's on the ground, then it will save it in this box. And I've gotten a ton of different armor pieces from this because I just didn't see them drop. Now, the box will also shine if it has something in it, so once you get back in the hub, you can just glance over at it to see if you've missed anything, instead of running over and checking it every single time. So you're going to find a decent amount of weapons in Wuchang Fallen Feathers, and you need to know that each weapon has different combos. They're not complicated, but it is helpful to see exactly what skills your weapon has on it, as that's going to embellish your combat. You can have two of the same weapon type, but have different combos on them, so make sure you check this out. Some of them are going to be evasive maneuvers, allowing you to disappear and reappear. Others are going to have a parry, and more will have a special move like the Vanguard Breaker. I was skeptical about this next tip, but it just is super true. You are going to get items called steamed bunny buns. My advice to you here is don't underestimate the power of these bunny buns. They are absolutely phenomenal, especially in the early portions and middle parts of the game. This is going to be a lifesaver because it's going to heal you for a decent amount over the course of about 30 seconds. I can't tell you how many times these steamed bunny buns have come in clutch when I don't have any more mana pots or healing items available, and you find them all over the place. Now, another thing about Wuchang Fallen Feathers that is very helpful earlier on, but gets more punishing as you continue the game, is the fact that when you die, you don't lose all of your mercury. You lose a portion of it, and First Berserker Kazan did something very similar, which I found made the game a lot easier for beginners and new people coming into Souls-likes. Regardless though, there were times where I died early game and still had enough to level up even before I picked up any more of my mercury. Now, this next tip I'm still testing out, however, I'm pretty positive that this is how it works. Anytime that you kill any enemy within Wuchang Fallen Feathers, they have a rare chance to drop some of the armor that they are wearing. Now, I have played a decent amount of this game so far, and I can tell you I have never seen a weapon drop from an enemy, only their armor pieces. So if you like how somebody looks and there's a shrine close by, feel free to farm that individual in order to get the armor set that they have. I've gotten a ton of bandit gear and a few other odds and ends from random enemies throughout the world. Next up, you're going to find small glowing incense burners all over the land of Shu. Sometimes they're going to be little statues, other times they're going to be items, but go up to those little tiny balls of light and interact with them. They will give you a prompt, but it will be kind of coded. So let me explain what I mean. They're going to use a word that's going to be highlighted in blue. You then need to go into your emotes and figure out which emote you have that aligns with the word prompted. For example, sometimes you'll get a prompt to pay your respects and you have an emote to bow. Use your emote right in front of the small orb of light, and you will always get some kind of really good item. Now, Wuchang Fallen Feathers is not one of those Souls-likes where you pick one armor and pretty much stick to it. This game is designed for you to switch your armor types. If you look at all different types of armor that you have, you're going to see that they have different resistances to different damage types or different status effects. This is incredibly important because there's been times when I've just been walking and a normal enemy who is emitting some kind of status actually kills me because he kills me so quickly and I didn't have the right armor equipped. So make sure that whatever situation you find yourself in, you have the right resistances for the job. And for the last tip of the video, there's going to come a time in your journey within the land of Shu that a demon will manifest. However, you haven't died and you also don't have madness. These are almost like invasions that happen in Elden Ring or Dark Souls, and you have to be able to kill this demon in order to get a special item. These demons always drop bow blood, and this is an item that can give you certain upgrades within your skill tree. Typically, they're going to help stave off of madness, but they have a variety of other effects, so make sure to kill these enemies when they spawn next to you. Hey guys, that is going to be it for our Wuchang Fallen Feathers beginner tips. If you guys have any questions or are stuck in any part of the game, leave it down in the comments below, as I would love to interact with you guys. We have a ton more Wuchang content coming. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you guys don't miss out. And until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.